G'day folks, this is Sim. Welcome back to Minecraft Done from Down Under, playing Magic Farm 3 by JadedCat. And I said in the last episode I was going to be doing some grunt work, and I have been. So as you can see, I've done a little bit of prettying up around the edges here, put in some walls around the base, squared things off nice and clean. And we'll just head back over. There are a few things that we need to have a look at and talk about. And one of the first ones is what looks like a little bit of a derp on Jaded's behalf. You'll notice something very, very shortly. Let's just get inside. Thank you. Okay, everything looks fairly normal here, except for a piece of coal there for some odd reason. And if we look out there, there's diamond in the wall. That wasn't there before. The missing glass wasn't here before, but that was more to do with an exploding creeper than anything else. We come downstairs. Oh, look, more coal. What's going on? Oh, look! Diamond in the roof! Okay, this is getting stranger. There's been a few deaths. I'll talk about that in a minute. But yes, as you can see here, we've got diamond that's suddenly appeared in the wall here. And if we come down here, there's a bit of a hole, and it looks like I missed some too. This was almost all coal, just a single vein. Now it does look like there may have been an issue with the configs, and there may have been some retrogen occurring. Diamond is supposed to spawn at this level. It is in the configs that it spawns in different levels, in different quantities. So it's not that it's not supposed to be there, it's just that the game's gone and regenerated ores. What I haven't done, and I probably should do now, is if we just run down here. I've been doing a bit of mining, as you can probably see through here. See, there's some coal that's appearing in places again. We've got these tunnels. Now I have mined all of these out, and I'm just wondering whether or not there's going to be fresh ore appearing. Doesn't appear to be the case here. It looks pretty good. And just have a little bit more of a look around just in case. Okay, yep, we've got iron here that wasn't here before. Yep, iron up there, and not going to go any further down there at the moment because it opens into a cave that I don't want to be playing in. So yes, so that's oh, look at that. Hello, clay. Where'd you come from? So yeah, there's definitely some issues, but then this is still in beta. Look, more iron. It's lovely. I think though we're probably going to pull an etho, and we're going to leave that diamond up there, and maybe the diamond in the house as well. It just seems kind of appropriate. Alright, so having a look up here, you can see that there's not a massive amount of changes. I've added a few more barrels for a few of the bits and pieces that I've been picking up. I have, for obvious reasons, a massive amount of coal now. I've trimmed this area here up fairly neatly, put this access route through to this side, and again, because of the diagonal blocks, the mobs have major issues pathing through here. Chickens are going happily along, doing what they do the best, and of course still wanting to kill me, but oh dear, I think I have a few too many eggs. We might have to do something about that. Right, what else have we done? Okay, so as you can see, there's been some more tidying up done. I've got a few launch pads here now so I can get myself out into the water quickly. And I've added some more trees, and these are all doing a fairly good job. We've got pears, we've got walnuts for the oil, the apple tree, which is now a much improved version of the previous slightly sad one that we had, avocados and the cherries. I have done a lot more breeding, so we now have a large field of soy, and most importantly, these are the crops that matter early in the game, in my opinion. You definitely want tomatoes and lettuce for BLTs and other burgers, garlic and eggplant. Potatoes are a staple, same with carrots, they've got lots and lots of uses. Peanuts for peanut butter, bell peppers and onions, no sorry not onions, cantaloupe. Cantaloupe's not that important actually. On the other hand, the onions are extremely important and delicious, and the chili peppers. And then over here I've started work on some other important stuff. So we've got beans, grapes and strawberries, and they're all going to come into play with some of the recipes. So if we have a look at the food chest now, you can see that I've got quite a lot of 10-10-10 seeds and quite a decent supply of ingredients for food. And that leads us on to the next part, and I might have a quick nap because my sleep level is actually pretty low, so let's just have a snooze. Here we go. Head back downstairs. Alright, now those are the foods that I found, but you can see I've made up a whole bunch of cooking utensils, and if I haven't mentioned it before, the recipe for the pot has changed and it can throw some people, so just so that you know, the correct recipe for a pot is to now take a clay bucket and pour molten aluminium over it. You don't make it up in the crafting grid. However, what we can do now, I'm going to have to deal with those in a minute too, is have a look at our food supply options. So what have we got? We've got the footlongs, and they are an excellent food source. I've eaten one recently, so I can't eat that right now, but the recipe for that: mayo, which we're getting from the eggs, just needs a juicer, lettuce and tomato, bread from the wheat, and tofu is what we're using. Now, I'll be honest, I would not touch tofu with a 10-foot barge pole in real life, but this is Magic Farm, and yes, well, we will make exceptions. Then we've got bacon, lettuce and tomato, and again, the recipe is pretty straightforward. It requires toast and the lettuce and the tomato, and also excellent food values. What have I not eaten recently? Hamburgers are very simple. They're a very straightforward recipe, so not quite as filling as the others. The extreme chili, on the other hand, that one there, oops, might help if I hit the right key. That one there is pretty decent. Recipe again is not too hard. You need to take a chili pepper, combine it with normal chili, and the normal chili itself is beans, onions, and some tofu, or beans and the bell peppers and tofu, or beans and chili. So you've got several different ways of putting that together, and we can do that with all of the ingredients, but regardless of which recipe you use, you're still only going to get the one meal type. But if we have a quick look at it now, that one there you can see gives us a decent chunk of saturation and a decent chunk of food. So instead of fanging our way through a whole bunch of stuff, we can just eat one of those. And the hot dogs are also quite easy. They're just pork or tofu, bread and a pot. The meaty stew, I'm not sure whether I've covered that before, and I'm going to hit the right key sooner or later. Okay, so again, tofu, stock, which is easy to make, flour, which we've got access to plenty of with the wheat, and again a pot. And then we've got the vegetable soup and the stuffed eggplants. And then on top of that, we've also got your standard toast and bread and seed soup, peanut butter, which we can use to mix things up. Now there is one downside that I've noticed, and I thought I actually had it here. I'm not sure what I've done with it. Maybe I didn't actually make it. Maybe I just thought I did. There is an item in the game called a lunchbox, and that lunchbox, you can basically put 6 different food types in it, and it will cycle through them, choosing the one that's going to give you the best result each time. There's also a lunch bag, which is a lot easier to make, just uses paper, whereas this one requires a little bit of iron. And the food rotation is set to 6, but unfortunately it doesn't actually work that way. If you eat 6 different food types, you actually have to eat a 7th before it resets the first one, which means that they don't actually all fit in the lunchbox, which is a bit of a pain, and I'll probably use a juice or something simple to fill that in. But it would be nice if we only had to use the one slot up. However, as it stands now, I've got foods that I can cycle through and get decent food and saturation now, and not be eating every 30 seconds. So I've got all of that saturation to burn down now before I have to eat again. Now the other thing that's new is this and this. We've got a soul chunk claimer, which has just appeared in my inventory. It came with the latest update. And we've also got this book called Delving into the Darkness, which literally has 1 page to it, and that is it. I have no idea which mod it goes with. Well, to be honest, I do. It's Sanguimancy. It says so right here in NEI or Whaler, whichever one's bringing up the things. Don't worry about which is correct, because I'm not at the moment. I'm assuming that that is from the same mod, even though it says Guide API, but who knows, there could be some other weird stuff going on. And I'm really not sure what to do with this soul chunk claimer, so I'm literally going to go inside here, and I'm going to right click this and see what happens without doing any research. And I'm not in the soul network dimension, so there's obviously a dimension to play with. And that being the case, I think we will play it safe, and we will just shove these in here until we figure out what needs to be done. Now also, something else that I've learnt is that these recall stones can apparently be recharged with ender pearls. I don't know how it works or what's required yet. Have to do a little bit more experimenting. Obviously nothing there, but I'll certainly find out some more about that, preferably once our pearls have grown up a little bit more. And that's just about it. Now the deaths. Now that's just a little frustrating. One of the things that I have learned is one of the things that frustrated me about Magic Farm before, and that is the infernal mobs mechanics. There are some things about them that I do find truly annoying. One of the deaths was from basically an infernal mob that was down here that had the ghast ability on it, and I literally just dug down and hit his feet, and even though he could not see me, hitting him allows them the ability to strike back at you, and yeah, basically he fireballed me to death, and that's annoying. And it even happens from range, which I've noticed sometimes. You can shoot at something with a bow and it will instantly strike back at you, and I find that is just a little bit OP as far as the game's concerned. It's one of the annoyances with Jaded's packs, and you've just got to learn to live with it. I do believe it is possible to disable some of the abilities in the configs. Another issue that I have had, and I'm not sure what the combinations that cause it are, but I lost one of my really good weapons, and basically what had happened was, I've made myself up a hammer too. It's based on alamite, but the actual hammer itself is iron, so what that means is it's cheap to repair, but the durability is ridiculous, so it takes forever to actually wear down. So I've got the alamite and the ability to make it now, and the ability to get more obsidian, so crazy not to. Same with the shovel, but what I lost was my mattock, which was my go-to weapon. And what happened was, again, one of those insanely annoying infernal mobs. I stepped out here and hit something that was behind the fence, and it immediately popped something out of my inventory, and it literally popped through the fence, so I couldn't actually get to it because there was a massive crowd out here at the time. So anyway, I came back down here, and I've got a little killing hole through here which I can use when they get a little bit nuts, and I killed everything that was out here. No pickaxe. The only thing that was left was a couple of mobs roaming around outside, and a couple of the headcrumbs mobs, and I'm not sure what the deal is, but anyway, the blood moon finished, and I went out and killed the last of the mobs that were out there, and my tinker's pickaxe was gone, or my tinker's mattock was gone anyway. So whatever picked it up, because it didn't despawn, there wasn't enough time, whatever picked it up went through a forced despawn at the end of the blood moon, and it took my tool with it, and that is particularly annoying. So I'm not sure what the interaction is actually causing that, but it's something to be very aware of, and those thief mobs do really bug me. That ability to disarm you can become quite a pain in the butt, and particularly when you couple them with speed, they just get absolutely and utterly crazily overpowered. And that's the problem with some of the infernal mobs. They're not difficult or challenging. They just have stupid abilities, and that's me. Other people might find them fine. I just find them cheap in a lot of respects. I need to finish off my launch pad here as well, but we'll do that another time. So anyway, so that's a bit of a summary, just to put things in perspective. What are we going to do from here? Well, we've got a couple of options to play with, so give me a moment and we'll talk about that. Okay, so where do we go from here? there's a few things that I want to work on. Firstly, this is Magic Farm, so although I am going to be doing some mining, I do want to see how many things I can get through farming and other magical or plant-based themes. So Botania is definitely going to play a part, and agricraft is certainly going to play a bigger part over time as well. And we'll work our way up to that, because that's going to require some resources and some tech to get us going. As far as power is concerned, well, I've got a few options, but there is one mod in the pack which is a new one for me. I haven't played with it before, and it's called Solar Flux. Now, I haven't used solar power in modded Minecraft for a long time, so everybody used to complain that that was all that anybody ever did was solar power and blah blah blah. But that's so long ago now that I've got no qualms about going back to it and playing with it again, because it's almost new, and this particular mod I'm not familiar with. The initial stuff is pretty straightforward. I mean, that one generates 2 RF per tick, transfers 16, but the cost is just some wood logs, some redstone, and the mirrors, which are just glass and silver. The next level just requires a whole bunch of those and a reception coil, and it bumps it up to 16 RF. And then if we get all the way up to the top tier, we're looking at a 60 million capacity panel for 4096, massive transfer rates, all of those sorts of things. Now, of course, this stuff requires resonant energy cells and resonant frames and a whole bunch of funky photovoltaic cells which require energized. So yeah, we're going to be a while before we get there, but it's something to work towards, and it should be fun. But the other thing that I need to worry about right now is that you will notice that I have an ender lily seed, and one of my plants here has finally reached its final growth, but growing on grass is incredibly slow, so we're going to find a way to improve upon that. You can grow them on end stone, and you can also grow them on ender cores. Now, the ender core itself, wherever it's hiding in here, ender, there it is, ender core, requires magical wood and ender infused obsidian and eyes of ender and all sorts of funky stuff. So that's the best option, but they're a little expensive. We'll have to wait a little bit. On the other hand, although we don't have access to the end, we do have access to end stone. There's a couple of ways that you can make it. One uses sandstone, but it's even more efficient if you have the obsidian, and we do, to use obsidian and an ender pearl and the smeltery. Now, I did say I was going to be doing some mining, and as you can see here, the resources have been coming in, so we've got some stuff to work with now, which is a big improvement. What we're going to do right now, though, is we're going to toss this ender pearl in here, and it should give us about 250 millibuckets of enderium, or liquid ender, or resonant ender, whatever their version of it is. And what we are going to do is we are going to infuse some blocks of obsidian. Now, if you do it with sandstone, it's 1 ender pearl per block. If you do it with obsidian, you should be able to get 5 blocks out of the 1 ender pearl. And there we go. There's our 250 millibuckets, and we should be able to pour that onto here and here, and give it a minute, and pop pop, couple more, and you as well. So there we go. So one ender pearl has given us 5 blocks of end stone. And I'm going to pop that up here at this height, so I'm not walking into these things. And we're going to pop our ender lily seed on here. And I'm not sure of the full details. I know that the watering can works, I believe, at normal efficiency on ender cores. From what I've been able to gather and advice from a good mate, you can essentially get 1 cycle of growth if it's on end stone, and that seems to be limited possibly to once a day, although it may be a little bit more common than that. I probably need to look it up. It's not fast, but once we get a few of them down, as some of these other ones grow, I'll be able to water a 9x9, and that should make a difference. Now, whether we're going to get the growth straight away or not, I'm not absolutely sure, but we'll experiment with this and we'll go for a little bit just to see if we do get that extra growth tick or not. It may be that we're going to have to leave it for a little while. We'll see. But yes, unfortunately we can't do this on the grass. I don't believe it has any effect whatsoever. And although I know that it is supposed to work on end stone, and I have done it this way before, there's also the possibility there's been some tweaks to the pack that Jaded has done. I don't know whether she has access to that ability or not, because I'm not sure whether it's a config setting or whether it's hard-coded into the mod. As it stands though, not a great deal's happening here, so we will leave this one for now, and that's something else that I'll be grinding through off camera. And yes, there's a lot of grinding in this pack. Let's do the sleep thing again, and then we will move on to Botania. Alright, the next thing we need to do is Botania. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and avoid using the wiki guides as much as possible, because Botania is supposed to do a pretty good job of teaching you. So you make the Lexica Botania using a book and any old sapling, and bang, very, very sexy, isn't it? And here we go. However, we've run out of time, so we're going to have to pick this up in the next episode. So I do look forward to seeing you then, and until then, take care of each other everybody, and ciao for now.